Hello, yes. I'm talking about Borderlands 3, one of my favorite games. And as the subtitle says, it's a great game, fantastic game, horrible story, but it tears me apart to say that. You know why? You know why? Because I love this game. This is my favorite game in the Borderlands series because Borderlands 3 is amazing. And I've played all of the Borderlands games. I've the only one that I haven't played or the only one that I haven't replayed is pre-sequel, but I have no desire to ever look at that game again. It's so bad, but that's besides the point. So, Borderlands 1, I've played this game like 5 times. I've got a lot of time in it. It's great. It doesn't have a story, but if you look past that, then it's fun. You just go on to you just have like a YouTube video or Netflix on your second monitor, and you're just like kind of zoning out playing the game. It's great. It's great. The last few times I've played it, I've done exactly that. And you know what? I have a great time every time because Borderlands 1 is fantastic. Next, Borderlands 2. Borderlands 2 is also fantastic, but the shooting also leaves something to be desired. But I've played a lot of Borderlands 2 as well. I've played all of the Vault Hunters, and I've done New Game Plus twice, and I had a fantastic time. I've played through most of the DLCs, and I had a pretty good time. It's just that the shooting definitely leaves something to be desired, and that's basically it. Yeah, yeah. So yeah, and I am going to talk about everything of Borderlands 3, everything, everything, and it's mostly just because I love this game. I love Borderlands 3. It's fantastic. It it's just that the story is bad. And you know what? Saying that, it it hurts. It hurts to say that. It'd be like saying my kid sucks cuz I love Borderlands 3. Anyway, the story sucks. Hate saying that, but I'm going to talk about the story later. That's all you got to know. And I am going to talk about everything that happens in the story. And I'm not even going to say a spoiler warning because it doesn't deserve a spoiler warning because the story is that bad. Anyway, the shooting. The shooting, mwah, mwah, mwah. It's got some of the best shooting in any game that I've played. It's got some of the best gameplay. If I had to point to a game that had some of the best shooting, it would probably be Borderlands 3. Because when I play it, I just have so much fun with the shooting because the shooting is perfect. And like only one game has that. Only really one game has something similar to Borderlands 3 where the shooting is so good, and that's TF2. But with TF2, you gotta be good at the game to get those amazing moments. But with Borderlands 3, it's just numbers, but still some skill. But whatever. Each gun manufacturer feels fantastic. They feel unique. Some of my favorites are Jacobs, Malawan, or kind of Malawan, Dahl, Hyperion, COV sometimes. They're all fun. So and honestly, there's only really one manufacturer that I just don't use, and that's Atlas. But because their guns are gimmicky and they look weird, and I don't want that. So yeah, whatever. Now for the Vault Hunters. Zane Flint. This was the first one I played, and I realized that I misspelled his name. Whatever. Uh, I love Zane Flint. He's fantastic. He's probably my favorite Vault Hunter that I've played in any of the games. And yeah, like Zane has such an interesting playstyle because you can have two abilities, but you can't have grenades if you have the second ability. But that's still fun. It's still fun, cause like in my first playthrough, I would just have the drone and the clone, and they were great. Combat scenario, drone, go out, ba 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 ba. You shoot him, okay, buddy? Hey, thanks. And also with the blue skill tree, it's all about kill skills, and you're like, oh hell yeah, dude, hell yeah. When I kill it, dude, oh baby, I'm now stronger. And then there's a thing at the bottom that's like, hey, when you activate an ability, all your kill skills become active. And it just feels great. You're like, yes, I love him. Now, Amara. I'm not gonna lie, Amara really wasn't my playstyle. It's the same thing with Zero for me. Like, I don't hate Zero. In fact, I like Zero's character. It's just, Zero is not my playstyle. And that's the same with Amara. And also, like, I'm not gonna lie, in, like, the third act, the game kinda drags on, and like when I got to that point as Amara, I kinda went through some stuff, and I just had no motivation to play the game, so I never finished Amara, and I'm not gonna lie, I have no motivation to finish that save because I just didn't have fun as Amara. Yeah. Flak. Flak was fantastic. I loved playing as Flak. I went through the orange skill tree because it gave me all these ammo stuff, and I had racks up my sleeve. And Flak was really fun. I had a great time playing as Flak. I'm not kidding when I say that Flak was amazing. And probably my second favorite. The only reason I have to say that is because the next one is horribly overpowered. Like, so overpowered that you're like, well, the game is now on easy mode. But that's besides the point. The point is, Flak was fun. I liked playing as Flak. It was really fun. But now let's get to the next Vault Hunter, Mose. Mose is just OP. Because in the bottomless skill tree, in the bottomless mag skill tree, there's a thing that like, okay, so Moses' ability is a mech, and she climbs inside, and it has a lot of health, and it does a lot of damage. Yeah, and it has 2 turret arms, and you can pick what turret you want on those arms. So you could have like just a really powerful cannon, I think a grenade launcher or something, and Gatling guns. I went with Gatling guns. Or I went with a Gatling gun on one, and then like the giant mega cannon thingy on the other. And I was like, hey, this is fun. But then as I went through the skill tree, there was one that's like, hey, if you have 2 turrets of the same thing, each one does 60% more damage. So I did that. And then every boss afterwards was just a joke, because I did so much damage in the mech. Like, it was fun, but it kind of felt cheap. Still fun, though. Anyway, the exploration in 3 is fantastic. I love the exploration. Instead of a simple instead of just finding a chest or finding, I don't know, some ammo, you will find challenges along with a chest. And the challenges are really simple. It's like there's a claptrap thing, or you're doing a Crimson Radio, or whatever. You get some XP, you get some Guardian rank XP, and you get some money. And it's fun. It's fun little things, and it makes the game feel unique. Except there's one thing with them. There's also Typhon logs. And the thing about the Typhon logs is they're great. They're great. They're fantastic. But, and there's a very big but. So, in each level, there are 3 Typhon logs, and they tell you the lore of the first Vault Hunter, and it's great, it's fun to find, it's interesting, and it just gives you something to chew on while you're playing the game, and you're like, wow, I like this. When you find all 3, a Typhon Dead Drop is revealed and unlocked on the map. What's a Typhon Dead Drop, I can hear you asking? Well, it's like a normal chest, except more, and it's got better stuff in it. The problem is, if you find the Dead Drop before you find all 3 Typhon logs, oops! it's just locked, and it feels annoying. I'm just like, you know, I don't hate it. It's just it just feels annoying. That's all I can say. But Anyway, favorite characters: Reese, Jacobs, Clay. They're all fantastic. I love them. Every time I'm in a quest with them, I'm like, oh yeah, yeah, yeah. But that's not all of the characters. Most of the characters, actually all of the side characters, I feel like do a great job of doing their thing. Clay, I love him. Jacobs, I love him. Wayne or Reese, I love him. Every quest with them is fantastic because they're interesting, they're funny, and the voice acting is great. Okay, I guess it's time to talk about the story because I've basically talked about everything else. So actually, wait, no, I completely forgot to say the loot. The loot is way better in 3 than all the other games. In Borderlands 1, I think out of my 5 playthroughs, I've gotten 1 legendary, I'd like to say, that I used, and that was the Hellfire, and it was awesome. In Borderlands 2, I think I've gotten like 4 or 5 legendaries. 2 of them were the Hellfire, or not the Hellfire, the Hornet, and it was awesome. But the thing is, Hellfire, like, that's over like 8 or so playthroughs. Borderlands 3, I've gotten countless legendaries. And you know what? It's great. The loot in 3 is fantastic. Cause it gives you better stuff more commonly. Like it's not out of the question to have multiple epics in your inventory because that's just how the game is. And you know what? It's fun. I like it. Anyway, I'm gonna talk about the story. Okay, so basically, the basic stuff between 2 and 3. So, in 2, at the end of 2, they found a vault map with all the vaults on it, but then somewhere they lost the vault map. Anyway, Crimson Raiders are kind of dying because all the bandit camps have united under one flag, and that's the Children of the Vault. It's a cult, and it's ran by streamers who are just the worst. Troy and Tyrene, Calypso, and they are so unfunny. But anyway, so the game starts with you. Meeting up with Claptrap. He's like, "Hey, you want to help the Vault Hunt or the Crimson Raiders?" And you're like, "Sure." And then Lilith shows up and she's like, "Oh, Crimson Raiders are kind of dying. Can you help us kill her?" And you're like, "Okay." Anyway, so then you get a foothold somewhere, and you gotta meet with one of the few remaining bandit tribes, the Sun Smashers, and most of them have switched over to COV, except their leader Vaughn. And so you talk with Vaughn, and you're like, "Hey Vaughn, do you know where the vault map is?" He's like, "Oh yeah, it's probably at the Holy Broadcast Center." And you're like, "Okay, see ya." So you go to the Holy Broadcast Center, you meet Ellie, she gives you a car, you go over there, you kill Mouthpiece, he's got the vault map, except it's broken, and then you meet Troy and Tyrene, and they suck. Everything about them is horrible. I hate every single scene with them because they're not funny. But that's besides the point. That's besides the point. Troy, they're just not funny. They're streamer, Gen Z, millennial, written by Boomer. And that's not good. Boomer can't write for Gen Z. That's a fact. Ask anyone. But whatever. So anyway, Crimson Raider's like, "Oh crap, we gotta leave." And then you bring the vault map to Tannis, and Tannis is a scientist lady, and she's like, "Okay, I can fix this. Just defend me while the COV attack." And so you defend her, and then Tannis is like, "Okay, it looks like there's a vault on Promethea. Let's go there." So you pack up and you go over to Promethea, and then stuff happens, and you're just about to leave Athenas, or not Athenas, Pandora, when the Calypso show up and almost kill Lilith, but instead they just steal her vault powers, and that's about it. That you leave, wahoo, done with Pandora for now. Promethea. So anyway, you get to Promethea, and you meet up with Zero, and he's working for Atlas, and Atlas is in a corporate war with Malawon. Atlas is the good guys, Malawon is working with the COV. Anyway, so you get there, and you meet up with Reese, the Atlas CEO, and he's like, hey, yeah, I can help you get into the vault. You just gotta help me with my corporate war, okay? I can tell you where all the vault key pieces are, okay? And you're like, okay. Anyway, so that brings you to I think the Moon one. I can't remember. Space laser tag. I can't remember the quest name. Anyway, you find the first vault key. You meet Katagawa Jr., the leader of you meet Katagawa Jr., the leader. Oh my gosh, the leader of Malawan. And he's like, hey, Vault Hunter, why don't you not? Anyway, you get the first piece of the vault, and then you go over to Athena's. And Athena's is great. You meet Maya, and Maya's like, hey, I'm here. And you're like, great. Anyway, you fight through Athena's, you meet Captain Tron, and he's great, I love him. And then you meet the worst character, Ava. Ava is the worst. I'm going to talk about her later, but she does nothing, and she gets everything. I hate her. Anyway, so you got the second piece of the vault, and then back to Promethea, and then and then Reese is like, okay, so the last piece of the vault is in Atlas HQ. Sorry, I should have told you. You're like, Reese, what the heckaroni, Tony? Reese is like, I'm sorry, I didn't. I don't know. So then you go over to Atlas HQ, but Malawan attacks, and then, what happens next? Zero goes rogue and kills everyone, and everyone's like, Zero killed me. And Reese is like, no, he didn't, you're lying. Yes, he did, he stabbed his sword through me. No, he didn't. Yes, he did. He's lying. Anyway, he got up there, and then Reese is like, Vault Hunter, I think Zero's the traitor. And then it's actually not Zero, it's Katagawa Jr., and Zero shows up, saves Reese, and you shoot Katagawa Jr., he dies, you get the final piece of the vault, and then Reese is like, thanks, bro. And you're like, no problem, bro. And then that's that. Then, what happens next is so you go to the vault, and you and Maya go there, and you fight more COV guys, and then you fight some guardians, the people who created the vault, and then you go to the vault, and you put the key in, but then a vault monster comes in. It's like, raw, I'm a vault monster. And Maya, and you shoot at it, it dies. Ava shows up, and she's like, wow, was that a real vault monster? Wow! And Maya's like, Ava, what the heckaroni, Tony, are you doing? And Ava's like, I just tagged along, hee. Isn't that quirky? But that's besides the point. You go in the vault, you get some loot, you come out, and then cutscene. Maya's like, Ava, you should have got in there. And Ava's like, Troy Tyrene show up, and they're like, hey, thanks for opening the vault. Oh, look, vault monster. And then Tyrene puts her hand on it and gets the vault monster's power, and then they, like, grab Troy, like, grabs Maya, and Ava's like, and then Troy kills Maya, and Ava blames Lilith. I don't remember why, but she does. I skip every cutscene because I hate the story. But that's besides the point. Maya dies, and Ava is not scolded. Ava does not look deeper into herself to think, maybe that was my fault. You can't see it, but I'm kind of flapping my arms because it's so stupid. Ava doesn't try to grow. She doesn't try to be an interesting character. She just blames everyone else. But whatever. You got the piece of the vault, or you get the loot from the vault, and that's whatever. That's the end of Promethea. Then you go to Eden 6, where you find most of my favorite characters. And on Eden 6, now some people don't like Eden 6 because it goes on too long, and it does. I'm not going to lie. But anyway, so you talk to Wainwright Jacobs, and he's like, hey, yeah, the COV zealots have taken my company. You shoot them, I'll tell you where my vault is. Like, okay. Anyway, what happens next is, what is it? So you save Hammerlock from prison with Brick, Mordecai, and Tina, and they each get around 10 minutes of screen time. 10 minutes. Brick is my favorite character in the entire series. How much story does he get? In Borderlands 2, he's not in the first half of the game, but that's besides the point. He's in the second half, and he's a very major player, and he's great. I love him. But in but in Borderlands 3, I timed it 10 minutes. Anyway, you save Hammerlock, you go back to their place, and they're like, hey, Vault Hunter, we have a vault, and we can save you, and, yeah, just do some stuff, and you do some stuff, you meet Clay, and other stuff happens, and you meet Aurelia, Hammerlock's sister, and Aurelia claims that she can get Aurelia claims that she can get, the vault keys for the Calypsos, and they give her a bunch of money, but whatever. Stuff happens. I'm just gonna skip over this part, and eventually you get to the end of Eden 6, and like you fight Aurelia, and then you fight the Vault Monster, and then Tannis kills it so that the Calypsos can't eat it, whatever. And then you go in, you get your loot, and then you go out, and Tannis has been kidnapped and has been given to Carnivora. That's the end of Eden 6. Back to Pandora. Neat. So the part with when you go back to Pandora, I'm not gonna lie, it drags on a lot. So I'm gonna be brief with this because it goes on for way too long. Let's go. So you get back to Pandora. You talk to Vaughn, and Vaughn's like, "Oh, Carnivora isn't a thing. It's a festival filled with murder people, and it's Penn and Teller, but they're pain and terror, and it's a cool thing. I like them in the game." And you're like, "Wow, this is pretty neat." Anyway, you go through Carnivora, you kill pain and terror, and Tannis is like, "Thanks, Vault Hunter. Also, I'm a siren for some reason." You're like, "What? How?" And then. Yeah, anyway, next quest, you save Tannis, and now you gotta get a thing or something to get rid of the defenses at the COV's headquarters. I can't remember the reason. I'm telling you, I'm skipping all the story. Anyway, so you go to Tannis's old lab, and she talks to you about some stuff or whatever. I can't remember, but whatever. Semantics. You get the thing, you drive back, and then you go attack the place. And you you almost get there. You get through there. You fight a bunch of people, and then you fight Troy, because Troy is like powering up the vault or whatever. I can't remember. You kill Troy, he dies, and then there's the worst joke in the entire game. This one is literally awful. It's such a stupid joke, it's annoying, and I hate it. Basically, there's a cutscene where Troy's like, "Oh, I'm sorry, Tyrene, I failed." And then Tyrene is like, "No, it's fine. That was the plan all along." And then she gets the camera for whatever, and she kills, in air quotes, Lilith, Tannis, and Ava, because they're there too. I can't remember why. And they kill them, and then it fades to black, and then it comes up, and it's like continued in 4. And then it pretends like that's the end of the game, but actually it isn't. The game finishes, and it finishes in 4, 3, 2, 1, and then it resumes. But here's the thing. You know how I said Ava gets everything handed to her on a silver platter? Yeah, she becomes a siren. I don't know why. It's so stupid. It's so stupid, and I hate it. I hate every single thing about it. It's awful because it's just everything gets handed to Ava on a silver platter, and it's so stupid. Anyway. So then you decide, oh, we gotta go to Necrotafeo to meet Typhon DeLeon, the first Vault Hunter. I couldn't remember. I guess I put a thing there. Anyway, Necrotafeo. I can't remember how it's spelled, but it's the planet of the Guardians. Whatever. You meet up with Typhon DeLeon. He's like, "Hey, you're pretty cool, Vault Hunter." And then you and then what happens next? You gotta power up the Great Machine thingy or whatever. I can't remember what it's called. I think whatever. But anyway, you get some stuff to power it up, and then you do some stuff, and then you're about to power it up, and you get it all powered up, except Tyreen shows up, and she's like, "Hey, Dad, guess what? You know your Vault Hunter friend? Well, he killed Troy." And like, what? What? Troy and Tyreen is Captain Typhon de Leon's children? What? And then what happens next is Typhon de Leon gets killed by Tyreen, and then you go back to and then that's the end of Necro to Pale, I guess. You power up the machine or whatever. Back to Pandora for the final boss against Tyreen, and it sucks. It's a stupid fight. I hated it. Whatever. Game is done. You killed Tyreen, and here's the final nail in the coffin. So the final cutscene is they're like, "Oh no, we killed Tyreen, but the moon is still gonna crash into Pandora." I can't even remember what's going on, but that's basically what they're saying. Sorry, I coughed. "Oh no, the moon is gonna crash into Pandora. What are we gonna do?" And Lilith gets her siren powers back, so she runs towards the fire. And Tannis is like, "But Ava, she's gonna die." And Ava's like, "Yeah." And then here's the final thing. So after Lilith dies, hooray! They're like, who's gonna run Sanctuary 3 now? You know how I've said Ava gets everything handed to her on a silver platter? Guess who gets Sanctuary 3? That's right. It's Ava. Isn't Ava fantastic? Whoa! And then that's the end of the story, and it sucks. And the problem with the game is two things. First off, the mismanaged characters. Now, I've skipped over a lot of characters because they didn't have enough screen time, so they weren't important enough. So, but like the game focuses primarily with the 5 main characters: Lilith, Tannis, Ava, Troy, and Tyreen. And they're the only ones who get a good amount of screen time. I wish that some of the other characters got more, like Maya or Zero. Zero is only there for like 2 quests or something. I wish he had more screen time. And without any of the DLCs, literally, Axton, Salvador, and Gage they have zero. It's like they never even existed to the game. And the other problem is, the 5 main characters. They all suck. Yeah, okay, that's the final slide. But the other thing is there's so much frickin' waiting in the game. You constantly wait. It's a long game. I'd say that's like 5 hours longer than Borderlands 2. And I'd say that at least 2 hours of this 20-hour game is just waiting. It's so boring because you're just waiting. There is so much frickin' waiting. It's like, why am I playing this? I hate this. Anyway, this concludes my TED Talk. I love Borderlands 3. Even though I've said all this horrible stuff about the story, I still love it. It's still my favorite game in the series because the shooting is that good. If I can say all that stuff about Borderlands 3, about how much I hate it, but still love it, then you know that I love it because it's a fantastic game. It's worth playing, but God, I just wish that the story was just If the story was instead of bad, then I'd say that it would be the best. But it's not just it's bad. I'd say it's tied for worst story in the series, which is pretty hard because Borderlands 1 doesn't have a story, and Borderlands pre-sequel has a horrible story. And yeah, I love Borderlands 3. If there's anything you can take away from this video, know this. I love Borderlands 3. It's one of my favorite games of all time. It's my favorite in the series. And I will always love it. Goodbye.